Hi guys, Samantha from Jessica Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create some cute little stencil textured beads. So what you're going to need is some Prima white polymer clay rolled out on your thickest setting, and then any cutter will do for this. I'm going to be using my smallest circle cutter from my regular set of cutters, but any cutter will work for this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out probably around 6 circles. And the reason I use a cutter is because it makes sure that all of our beads are the exact same size. So I've got 5, so now I'm going to cut out the next one. Can I get it? Yes, okay. There we go. And that just makes sure that all of our beads will be the same size. Now this is basically a recreation of a YouTube short that I did a couple of weeks back, I do believe, and I got a lot of requests for people wanting it to be a full-length video, so this is the full-length video. However, it's not going to be exactly the same. I'll be using different stencils and different alcohol inks, but the base technique will basically be the same. So then you're going to take those circles and you're going to roll them out, and that's going to be your beads. If you want the beads to be smaller, choose a smaller cutter. If you want the beads to be thicker, choose a bigger cutter. That's all there is to it. Okay, and here they are once I've finished rolling them. Now I'm not worried about keeping the white completely white because we are going to be putting alcohol ink onto these, and so they don't have to be completely clean. Then you're going to want to have chosen 2 stencils. Today I've chosen to go for a animal print theme, and so I've chosen 2 animal prints. So I've got this one, and then I've also got a leopard one. So you'll take these and you'll just place them down, just generally around. Pop one there. And I'm just making sure that they all fit within the space of my acrylic block. And the acrylic block is going to be to make sure that they all are the same thickness. Okay. There we go. And I don't want to space them too close to one another. There we go. Then place the other stencil over the top, like so. Then take an acrylic block and press down. And this is just going to make sure that they're all the same thickness, which is fairly important. Okay. And this is just going to imprint them with a texture. I'll just lift that up, and you can see the texture there. And if I lift that up, you can see this texture on the other side as well. And that's all there is to it really as far as texturing the beads go. Pop that to the side, and I want you to just grab some plastic wrap. There you go, so I've got a nice piece of plastic wrap here. Then either use just some regular isopropyl alcohol, or you can use some alcohol blending solution. And I'm just going to spritz a bit of that onto the surface, and that's just going to help the alcohol inks spread a bit. Then you can use any colour of alcohol inks you want. I'm using a mix of yellows, reds, browns and golds because we are going for an African animal print theme here. And I'm just going to kind of spread that around, and it doesn't necessarily have to all be in the alcohol blending solution. Here's the red. And again, any colour of alcohol ink will work for this, so don't stress about that. Okay, I'm just gonna do that. Okay, and then lastly the gold. Make sure that you shake that before applying it, just so that you make sure that you have the gold. And I would like quite a bit of that in here. Alright, there we go. And that should do. Then grab your beads, place them down, like so. Bring that up around. And then just scrunch the whole thing up making sure that none of the beads are sitting on top of one another. You want them to be lying flat, but you do want the plastic to essentially be flat on them. And then just place down a weight on top of them so that the plastic does stay there. And leave that for at least an hour. Generally I'll leave it for about 2 to 3 hours just to make sure that the alcohol ink sinks right on in. Okay, so these have been sitting for quite a while now, about 3 hours. So what we're going to do is we're just going to unwrap them. And they're most likely not going to be completely dry. We just wanted the ink to have a chance to sink into the clay. I'll just bear with me while I unwrap this. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to pop them to the side, and I'm going to bring over a piece of plain printing paper, and then I'm just going to flop that onto the paper. Get rid of the paper. I don't want to touch it with my hands because they're already stained. Don't need them to be more stained. Then I'll gently dab them down like so, just soaking up the excess ink. Like so. And that will just get rid of a lot of the excess. Okay, and you can see on the back as well. Now I'm just going to leave them on the printing paper as they are, and I'm going to put them into the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature, and then when they're done we are going to sand them to reveal the pattern. Okay, and so once they've baked, I will put them into a bowl of water, like so, just cold water. And I've also got some wet dry sandpaper here. This is a 400 grit, and let's see, I can just work with this one. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to sand the piece lightly, and that's really all you need, and that will expose your pattern. I'll do the same on the other side. I'll go for a few seconds, and then that will reveal the pattern. Don't overdo it because the texture is very light, and if you sand for too long you'll go straight down through the texture. See, this feels almost flat at the moment, and you don't want to sand down right through the texture because then you'll get the background and then the texture won't stand out nearly as much. So I'll do that with all of my pieces, and I'll show you how they look when I'm done. And there we go, that is how they should look. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to drill them, and I'm just going to bring over my drill here, and I'm just going to start on one end and put through a little hole, and then I'll drill straight through. You can do this before you bake them, as it might be a little easier. However, keep in mind that you will end up distorting your bead most likely. So that's why I prefer to do it after baking, because it just guarantees that I won't distort it. And I'll just keep drilling through the piece until I can feel the drill coming out through the other side. And it should start coming out now. There, I can see it right there. So there. And then I will go back through the other way, and that way I'll get a nice clean hole. Okay. And just go through a few times just to clean it out, just to make sure that it's nice and clear, like so. Okay, and I'm going to repeat with all of the other ones. Okay, and then when they're done, I'm going to bring over a piece of wire. Just going to bend the end like so, and then I'll take each of my beads and I'm just going to string them on, and this is so that we can varnish them. So I'll just string them all on like so. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about spacing them yet, we can do that once they've been dipped. Then I'll bring over my Varathane, and any gloss varnish will do. If you have a pot of it, it's great to dip it in, just makes it a lot easier, but you can also brush it on. So I just dip them in, take them out, and then you're going to want to stand here for like, I'd say probably at least half a minute and let it drain. Then when that's done, hook the other end of the wire and place it over a drying rack. It can be anything, I just use a basket and hook it over the two ends to suspend the pieces so that they can dry. Also, just make sure that you space them out after you've let them drain. And then I generally will take a little wet rag, and every once in a while I'll just come and have a look at them, and if there's drips accumulating on the bottom, I'll just give it a slight dab. And here they are after they have finished drying. Now I've taken these off a little early. You can see on some of the areas where they were hanging, it's got a little bit of an opaque spot. These really should dry for a full 24 hours before you actively use them, but it's alright to take them off the wire when they're dry to the touch. Like, this is completely dry, it's not wet, but you're going to have to wait 24 hours for that opaque spot to clear up. But yeah, that's basically it for today's tutorial. Keep in mind that you can use any colour alcohol inks, any texture stamp. I would recommend sticking with the white clay background, as I just find that that's what works best. But yeah, other than that, you can really play around and have some fun. And so if you like this tutorial, please do let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to support this channel so that I can continue making videos like this in the future, please do consider becoming a member either on the channel or on Patreon. There's a join button below the video for the YouTube membership, and there's a link to Patreon in the description below for a Patreon membership. And if you'd like to support a different way, there are a bunch of tools and supplies on my Etsy store, that's also linked in the description below. And even liking and subscribing to the channel really helps out a lot as well, and it's completely free, so if you'd like to do that, that would be super appreciated. And as always, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.